Good morning, everybody. Happy November 1st. Fall is here, right? Even in Florida. A little cool at night. 50s. In the 50s down here. That's right. Anyway, how's everybody doing on this fine Saturday? Maybe elimination Saturday. We know Tuesday. Tuesday, the official playoff, college football playoff poll comes out. Where will these teams end up? We're going to talk about today's games. We're going to talk about current standings. We're going to give our opinion, and it's just my opinion, on some teams that could be eliminated today, or some teams that can kind of get close to being eliminated, depending on the rest of the schedule. The rest of the schedule for the teams that are borderline on that 9-3 maybe elimination number. But before we get into that, please like and subscribe, and always go Gamecocks. That's right, always go Gamecocks. Anyway, today I'm actually going to live stream the game. South Carolina versus Ole Miss. I will be live during the game, giving commentary, play-by-play commentary on the things I see happen during plays. Should be very entertaining. If any of you guys know Rooster, I get a little animated. I haven't done a live stream all year, but people that were subscribed to the Gamecock Grind back into last year, know I can get a little entertaining and energetic during football games. Excuse any language that may come out, but let's go ahead and talk about it. We'll start with South Carolina and Ole Miss. South Carolina eliminated any playoff talk. 3-5 on the season. Just hasn't been the season that everyone thought South Carolina would have going into the beginning of the year when you were ranked in the original polls coming out. A lot of people had high expectations for South Carolina that were not met. Now, Ole Miss, another team that was right in the conversation for the playoffs last year with South Carolina, both finishing 9-3 on the season. The other team was Alabama. This year, some teams are looking much better to make the playoffs, and Ole Miss, we have to admit, is one of those teams. Surprisingly, because a lot of people thought that Ole Miss would struggle with all the defensive players they lost to the draft last year, wide receivers they lost from last year's team. But it's actually been the opposite. Other than the game against Georgia, Ole Miss is pretty much won their games. And, yeah, they had struggles here and there, but you couldn't have that throughout the season, especially in the SEC. But they won. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. Whoever puts the most points on the board wins the football games. And that's what you got to do, right? We can talk about issues and problems and what's not working and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, it's the team that is able to score and put the most points on the board that wins the football games. And Ole Miss has had no problem putting points on the board this year. Like I said, they play South Carolina. Now, Ole Miss does. Where do they rank in the SEC? Right now, with their record, they're showing them as fourth, but they're right there kind of tied with Georgia. You could say overall Georgia was 6-1, Ole Miss 7-1. Georgia's starting this week. Florida, the world's largest cocktail party. I know, why y'all ain't tell me I got trash on my damn hat? Anyway, we'll talk about that game in a few minutes, but as is right now, Ole Miss still has an off week, but they have an off week before they play Mississippi State. If they get past South Carolina, you're looking at the Citadel, Florida, Mississippi State. What's the chances of Ole Miss losing 2 more games and be on that borderline eliminated from the playoffs? I think Ole Miss is going to make it. I just don't see. I mean, Florida, we know what's going on there. They fired Billy Napier. They got an interim head coach. They got an interim play caller. They got interim guys designing plays. It's just a mess down there right now. And I don't think that's going to be fixed before they play Ole Miss at home. That's the thing. Ole Miss is at home for, let's see, they got us coming in. They got Citadel coming in. They got Florida coming in. They only have to travel to Mississippi State. Where will Mississippi State be by then? They started off red hot. They've fallen off. Haven't won a game in the SEC yet. So somebody's got to win out of Mississippi State today. We'll get into that game too. But I think Ole Miss has a pretty clear path to the playoffs. Even if South Carolina beats them, you're looking at 2 losses. Are they going to lose any of the rest? It's college football. Anything can happen. I don't see Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is going to be a 10-2 football team and make the playoffs this year. Some other teams we can talk about that's off this week. Alabama's off this week. As they prepare for LSU. LSU's off this week as they try to figure out that mess they have down there in Baton Rouge. What a colossal mess. The state government's involved. The governor's involved. Boy, when politics get in college football, it's never a good end. It's never going to be a good end result. Who do they hire? I think Summerall's the hot name in that thing. Who knows? The LSU's got some money. They'll go out and find a coach. We know it won't be Rhett Lashley. He just upped his 2-year extension at SMU. Do they go after James Franklin? Who knows with LSU? Just too much chaos right now. And a lot of good coaches what used to be a really great job at LSU looking like, I might not want to touch that thing as much government involvement as that school has. So, who knows where that goes? Florida, same thing. People talk about the Florida job being so good. We know their administration's it's just a damn rat nest right now of a bunch of old torn up ass championships from back in the day of Urban Meyer and Steve Spurrier. Those newspapers got destroyed by the rats that's down there now in the administration at Florida. And you can get mad at me, Florida man, I don't care, but I live in Florida. I hear it. I hear it all the time. You're not getting the players you used to get because too many teams are coming into Florida to get it. But we'll talk about you in Georgia in a minute, Florida man, so you sit still. I ain't done with you. They're off this week. Who else is off this week? A&M's off. A&M's right now leading the SEC. Hasn't lost a conference game. Neither have Alabama. Those two are tied at the top when it comes to the SEC. Texas A&M 8-0 overall. Alabama 7-1. Pretty much leading the pack. Depends on what Georgia and Florida do. Let's talk about Georgia and Florida a little bit. Now, Georgia was my pick to win the SEC this year. I thought a lot of people slept on Georgia. And people say, why? Well, they weren't sure about Gunnar Stockton and how he would play. They weren't sure what Georgia's offense was going to look like. You know, I don't think Georgia changes that much. They really used their tight ends. They brought in some wide receivers. Zachariah Branch. They're struggled in their running game a little more than I think people thought they would. I think with Nate Frazier coming back, they thought the Georgia offense would be very dominant in the run, and it just hasn't worked out that way for them. Now they've been good enough. They're not horrible at it, and they can score points. The weird thing about Georgia is they can score 40-plus points to beat a Ole Miss, or they score 20 points against somebody. It's weird how they win football games. They're not consistent on the scoreboard, but they're very consistent in winning football games. They're just one of those teams that does what it takes to win. What is Florida showing up to this game today? We just talked a little bit about the chaos. What do we know about them? Boy, if I'm a first-time play caller, and I don't know if the guy that they put in charge, I can't remember his name now. I remember them talking about it. There's 2 guys that are designing plays. They're going to do that duo OC thing. It worked for LSU in 2019. Maybe it works for Florida today. 1 pass, 1 run. We'll see how that works out for them. But Florida's defense is good enough to win football games. I just don't know if this offense is going to step up enough to beat Georgia. Georgia knows their back's a little bit against the wall because they have a very good Georgia Tech team upcoming. Let's see who Georgia has upcoming after the Florida game. They got Mississippi State. They still have to play Texas, who hasn't been nearly as good as a lot of people thought would be. They're kind of in that category of South Carolina is surprisingly bad. If you want to know the truth, if you go back and look at the beginning of the season and where people thought they would be, Charlotte should be easy win before they play Georgia Tech on Black Friday. Remember that game last year, right? Woo, crazy overtimes. For Georgia Tech last year. So I think, that's the thing. A lot of people say, well, you got to be careful. There could be some sleeper games. These teams that are contending to get in the playoffs, they're not sleeping on any more football games. I heard someone made the comment, I can't remember who it was, about maybe this is a sleeper game for Ole Miss where they're sleep at the wheel or whatever, and South Carolina could beat them. That's far from anything I would think. Lane Kiffin's going to be focused in. He's going to be dialed in. They're looking for making the playoffs. They're not overlooking anyone. Nobody's asleep at the wheel right now. If you lose a football game, it's because you lost. It's not because you overlooked someone. It's playoff time. Those polls are coming out Tuesday. So I don't get that take. I think that's a goofy-ass, silly take by anyone that would talk college football. Maybe some teams that know they're going to get in. I mean, we know. Basically, the Big Ten, I think we know there's going to be 3. Is there another team that can step up in the Big Ten? I don't know. It's Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana. I would say those 3 are pretty much going to be locks, looking at the rest of their schedule for the year and where they are in the standings. Unless just something tragic happens, But I don't think anybody's going to be sleeping at the wheel. But I do think Georgia beats Florida today. I think there's just too much going on around Florida. There's too much going on around Florida. Too much talk about who the next head coach is going to be at Florida. Kind of chaos, A lot of people think it's Eli Drinkowitz. A lot of people think it's Alice Golish. A lot of people think a lot of things. I've heard so many rumors. James Franklin was going to Virginia Tech. Bullshit. Why would James Franklin go to Virginia Tech? He might leverage some conversations that he's had with Virginia Tech, but there's going to be more job openings before the end of the season or at the end of the season. You're not going to do anything right now anyway. Why would you announce with 5 weeks left that you're going anywhere? You're going to have plenty more opportunities before the end of the year. I think the Virginia Tech fans were wishful thinking that they were getting James Franklin. I can't see the sense of urgency for that guy to sign up over there at all. Who else we got today? November the 1st. Oh, Mississippi State, Arkansas. 2 teams that have not won a conference game. So somebody's got to win a conference game, right? Somebody's got to lose another one. Who's got the best chance to lose the rest of their conference game? Let's take a look at where's Arkansas and what's the rest of their season. They're off after Mississippi State. They're off next week. Then they have at LSU, at Texas, at Missouri. Arkansas could win a couple of those games. Missouri, I don't know where they're at on their quarterback, to be honest with you. I didn't dive into we're thinking Perbula's out, right? Didn't they say he broke his leg or something, or something's really damaged in there? So he's probably out. What does Missouri do at quarterback? Arkansas can score points, but just the turnovers Arkansas commits is beyond belief. Sometimes you just scratch your head. Like, Arkansas could be a good football team and they're juggernaut on offense, but boy, they can't hold on to the football to save their damn life. I mean, I don't know how many drills you can drill kids through when it comes to holding on to the football. It's like, dude, you can even with penalties, you can win football games, but you can't go out and get four turnovers a game and realistically win against good football teams. You might beat some bad football teams by doing that, but you're not going to beat good football teams. Speaking of some playoffs, Memphis won last night. Who's going to get that G6 or G5 bid? Memphis, South Florida. Memphis beat South Florida, so they have the tiebreaker. Can North Texas sneak their way back in there? The American Conference has some teams still make some noise this season. You can't slip up in that league either. So we talked about Georgia, Florida. We're talking about Arkansas, Mississippi State. What is Mississippi State the rest of the season? Same thing, up and down, good on offense at times. Some goofy ass coaching decisions by Jeff Levy. What game was it? 2 weeks ago they played or whatever. It's been like 2 weeks in a row. They've had some bad coaching decisions at the end of games that's hurt them, and they lost those games. Can they not make those mistakes and beat Arkansas today? Sure they can. This is going to be a game where you can't do the turnovers. You can't be dumb as a coach. If you have an opportunity to just run the football and kick a field goal to win the football game, you run the football and kick a field goal and win the football game. You shouldn't be out here throwing the ball around when you're about to in field goal range. I mean, I get it. I don't know how good some of these field goal kickers are, and you're trying to get yards, but throwing the football around at the end of a football game, you just line up and run it, man. But I get it. Levy loves to run the football. I love to throw the football. I love the team to run the football. But when you do it, it's very important. When you decide to do it, we saw South Carolina do some dumb shit at the end of the game. Got a fumble last week and lost to Alabama. Just when you do it. When you do it. Teams are looking for it. They're prepared for it. When do you do it? When is it smart to do? Kentucky, Auburn today. Two teams that could be. Is this the battle of which coach gets fired next? We know Stoops has a dumbass buyout that Kentucky gave him for some goofy ass reason. You want to say Auburn wins this football game, but I don't know. Hugh Freeze does dumb shit too. Kentucky's gotten a little bit better on offense. Auburn is just one of those teams that has talent. It's like a head scratcher like South Carolina. They got all the talent in the world to beat football teams. They just can't put it together on a Saturday. Hugh Freeze out playing golf. I don't know, him and Brian Kelly, I guess, spent a lot of time playing golf and not paying attention to their football team. Seems like I don't know. Hugh Freeze, not a high buyout. The man's walking the plank, and he looks down, and there's a bunch of sharks in the water. And those sharks are Auburn boosters. They're just ready for him to jump in there, and they're going to take him on out. If he loses to Kentucky, I got a feeling he's done. He may not even make the Vanderbilt game next week. Move on. Tennessee, Oklahoma. Here's a fun one. Tennessee and Oklahoma. Who wins? Tennessee, all the offense in the world. Oklahoma, all the defense in the world. I already see one dumbass Tennessee YouTuber talking about Oklahoma having Tennessee signals. That guy's worn out signal stealing for the last 4 years to where it makes your ears bleed to even hear the stupidity that comes out of his mouth. Look, South Carolina fans could have told you a long time ago, Brent Venables ain't stealing your signs before the game, you dumbass. He steals them during the game. So, fake news Jay. Brent Venables will steal signs during the game. He don't steal them before because the tendency for most smart football teams is to change your signs before each game because it's on national TV. There's people in the stands. There's phones. There's all kind of ways to record shit. That's why Tennessee puts the chipmunks on the sideline to call their plays. There's 3 of them. You don't know which one's calling what. They dress like the chipmunks. They look like the chipmunks. I mean, Josh Heupel looks like a chipmunk, a homeless chipmunk, but a chipmunk at all. I'm just kidding. I like Josh Heupel, but people got to calm down a little bit. I do think Tennessee wins this game. They're going dark mode. South Carolina fans know when Tennessee goes dark mode for Halloween. They whooped us in them dark mode uniforms. Anyway, Tennessee. I think Tennessee beats Oklahoma, and I'll tell you why. I don't know if Oklahoma can hold up on the back end. Now, I know Tennessee's DB room is trash. And they were trash in 22 when we got accused of cheating them. They weren't very good back then either, and they're not very good now, and they really haven't been very good. I get it. You're going to give me an excuse about people being injured. Hey, this is next man sport. I don't want to hear that. This is Coliseums and big boy football, baby. You gotta develop the next man up. Don't nobody want to hear nothing about no DBs and injuries and all that. Every team has them. Every freaking team. Still got to put it together. You got to get the next man up, and you got to play football. No excuses about injuries for any football team. It's going to happen. You know that in the SEC, that you by this time of the year, you're going to have injuries. You're going to have guys dinged up. Everybody watches these injury reports, and half of them are lies. But we got to stop that, Tennessee. Stop with the DB excuses that our DBs are hurt. South Carolina's had DBs hurt all year, too. Nobody wants to hear it. I still think you can beat Oklahoma. Don't commit turnovers. Throw the ball down the field. Open up your offense. I think your offense is good enough to beat Oklahoma. John Mateer, ever since his injury, has been kind of riding a struggle bus, in my opinion. And Oklahoma's probably the team that's eliminated today. They're 6-2 overall, 2-2 in the SEC. You lose to Tennessee, you're out. And this is a battle of both of these teams. This is an elimination game, probably from college football playoffs. Whichever team loses is more than likely out. So now let's see what Oklahoma does the rest of the year. They get a weekend off, then they have Alabama. So this is very, very important for Oklahoma because you have Alabama, Missouri, and LSU. Like we talked about, we don't know where Missouri will be quarterback-wise. They've had 2 now injured this year. They're on their 3rd guy, but Eli can dial up some plays. LSU's an absolute bayou train wreck. Let's have some gumbo. Oh, Edo. We need you back, Edo. Maybe Ed Orgeron gets hired back at LSU. Entertainment. I miss Edo. Man made me laugh. But that's a pretty tough road. Tennessee, the rest of the year, they still got Vanderbilt and Florida. They have to travel to Florida. They don't do well in the swamp. But since the swamp is all like muddied water and a travesty right now, we don't know what the hell Florida's going to be the rest of the season, to be honest. New Mexico State should be an easy win for them. So Oklahoma, to me, has the hardest path and the best chance of getting eliminated with what schedule they have left over Tennessee. Now, can Tennessee win out? Strange shit happens when Tennessee goes to Florida, and you got Vanderbilt out there balling. And speaking of Vanderbilt, Vandy, Diego, somebody lost their damn mind saying he should be in the Heisman running. The dude threw for 130 yards last week. Shut the hell up. Just shut up. He is not setting the world on fire. He's getting wins. That's what you want. Hey, guess what? South Carolina had a guy just like that. His name was Connor Shaw. You know what? Connor Shaw was never mentioned in the Heisman run, and Diego Pavia shouldn't be either. He just shouldn't. And I'm not a Diego hater. I just don't think he's one of these quarterbacks, or I think there's just a lot better players out there in college football that are putting up numbers on football teams that Diego Pavia is not putting up, guys. I don't care if you say he's a winner. Connor Shaw was a winner. Never a Heisman Trophy candidate. Never really talked about being a Heisman Trophy candidate. So stop it. Just because your team's winning football games and you're not losing them for them. That's the thing with a quarterback. Don't lose the football game for your team. Texas, who the hell knows? Another one of those teams with all the talent in the world. Very disappointing. They don't look good. Texas could win this game, and it puts Vanderbilt on that borderline of making the playoffs, because that would give them their second loss. They're 7-1 right now. Would put them at a second loss, and you can't afford a third. can Texas do that? Well, yes. Texas has enough talent to beat Vanderbilt. Texas' back is against the wall. They've already got 2 losses. They have to win this football game or they're going to be eliminated. If they don't win this football game, Texas is eliminated. We're talking about elimination Saturday. That's them right there. These teams have to be careful. South Carolina could put Ole Miss's back against the wall if they go in there and beat Ole Miss today. That's what I'm saying. Nobody's sleeping at the wheel right now. There is too much at stake for the vast majority of these football teams. Now, the Kentucky-Auburn, you can throw that away. That game ain't going nowhere. Neither team's going anywhere. But a lot of these other games, you got to keep your eye on it. Florida's not going to the playoffs. So what do they want to do? Shit, they'd be nothing but happier than putting Georgia's back against the wall. That would make Florida fans and the Florida Gators the happiest fans this Saturday. If they put Georgia with 2 losses and they're back against the wall to making the playoffs, what a meltdown would happen in Georgia if they lost 3 games this year and don't make the playoffs. The Bulldog fans, the Uncle Lou's of the world, would blow their top because they're not used to it. Some of us fans are used to it, right? We're built for this shit. Thicker skin. We don't break TVs when we get mad. We can handle business. We can handle losses. We can handle wins. And to the South Carolina students that decided they were going to attempt to rush the field against Alabama last week, don't ever do that again. I understand it. You're young. You're excited. Wait till the game is over. We always talk as men. We joked around when we were young and you got overly excited and you had that premature ejaculation thing going before you could actually get it in. That's what South Carolina fans looked like last week. They just let it all out before the game was even over. Anyway, love all you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed a Saturday morning with the Rooster. Peace.